Megan Schenkel, and I am an account executive here at ISG Solutions. And with me this afternoon is Phil Verity, and we will be presenting the ISG Crystal Reports Viewer for RiSE. And ISG has actually been an IMIS reseller for about 25 years. We've been around as long as IMIS has been around. Actually, ISG has been around a little bit longer than IMIS has been around. And one of the things that we know is that every IMIS association has been using Crystal Reports for many, many, many years. Many of you guys have probably spent a lot of money and a lot of time on your Crystal Reports, and saying goodbye to those is something that you guys do not want to do. And I know that there has been a lot of buzz in the industry about replacing your Crystal Reports with SSRS reports with the making of the RiSE staff interface because Crystal does not render on the web. And we have been talking with our clients and with other associations across the industry, and we found that it's really important for folks to be able to continue using their Crystal Reports with RiSE. And so what we've done, our development team and our team here at ISG put their heads together, and they developed what's called our ISG Crystal Reports Viewer for RiSE, which will enable you to be able to view those precious Crystal Reports on the web through RiSE, whether that's through the staff site or your member site, anywhere you would need to view those. And so you no longer have to fret about having to replace all of those Crystal Reports that you've spent so much money and time developing. You can actually continue using those. And so that was the point of us building this solution, and we thought that it would be important to share that with you today. We will be spending the first part of this demonstration showing you what we've put together, and then the end of the presentation will be answering your questions. What we'll do is we're actually going to keep the presentation, we're going to have you guys on mute just to eliminate any kind of background noise. If you have questions throughout the presentation, don't try to remember them all. I know it's right after lunch and it's almost the end of the day and your brains are probably fried, so please put them in the question and answer pane in GoToWebinar. After the session, I will go through the question and answer pane and I'll read those questions aloud, and Phil will actually answer them for you. If we don't have an answer for you today, we will certainly follow up with you. Also, if you'd like to raise your hand, you can also do that in GoToWebinar. And at the end of the session, we can come through and unmute you, and you can actually physically ask your question if you'd like. And Phil or myself can answer that question for you. So what we'd like to do, I think we'd like to just jump right in there. It's a few minutes after 2, and I know your time is very valuable. So without further ado, I will turn the table over to Phil. And Phil, you can jump right in there. We are recording this session. It will be available on our website after today's presentation. So if there's something that you missed during the presentation or you want a refresher, if there's somebody on your staff that you would like to have view this information, you'll be able to find it on our website. We also have other sessions that will be scheduled for later this month as well as next month as well. So Phil, take on over.
Great, thanks Megan. I appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. We're very excited about the product. So let me get started here. There we go. Okay, so really this is a very easy to use set of iParts that we put together that allows you to work directly with RiSE to first upload your Crystal Reports into RiSE using our administration iPart. Step 2 is to use our viewer iPart to place this Crystal Report on any page in RiSE, whether it's a staff site, public site. You can reuse the same reports in any RiSE site. And after you've put a link on there to run the report, just really hit the button and have fun and run your reports. It's really that simple. So we'll go through a couple of screens to show you how this really works. Here you can see I'm in the staff site. This should look familiar with those that are using the staff site. On here, after the installation is complete, you'll see something called a Crystal Reports Viewer. And we're probably going to add the word administration iPart to this. When you click that link, it's going to bring up this screen. The screen currently shows you that we currently have 3 Crystal Reports uploaded right into our Crystal Report Viewer. You can add additional Crystal Reports by hitting the Add button over here. You can modify or delete reports out of RiSE if you need to, but this is an administrative screen, so whoever has sysadmin rights can go ahead and add reports to the RiSE system. Once uploaded into RiSE, the next step would be you would get to this configuration screen, and the configuration screen simply allows you to put a title for the report. You give it a report code that will be used with RiSE so that it knows what reports. You categorize your reports into membership, events, meetings, whatever, and simply upload the report. And that's as easy as it is to do a simple Crystal report uploaded into RiSE. Once it's uploaded into RiSE, you use this Crystal Report Viewer iPart to actually place it on a page. Notice that this is standard RiSE configuration. You put in the report code. You can put in how you want the report to display. Sometimes you want it to come up in the Crystal Report Viewer, and how big you want that window to be when it opens up on the RiSE page. Or sometimes you just want it to come up in a PDF format so they can either download it or print it. So very simple, very easy to use. You repeat using the same Crystal Report Viewer iPart for different reports, or the same report in many different places. After that, you simply make a link right on your page, wherever you want it, and you just click Run. And in this case, it's prompting for ID. I put in the ID and I hit the Execute button. This is a prompt that comes directly from your Crystal report. And then here's a profile report that would pop right up into Crystal. You can then decide if you want to print it, save it. This is an 8-page report with lots of sub-reports, so forth. This is a profile report. Sorry. And then after that, let's say you want to print it or save it. You have the ability to print it, save it to PDF, or print only a certain number of pages. So very simple to use. Now let me back up and talk a little bit more about some of the advanced capabilities of this product, because if things were that easy, that wouldn't be too impressive, right? So let's kind of back up one more time to our configuration options. I purposely skipped some of these variables down here. Remember, with RiSE, if you want to open up a report in RiSE as a staff person, you would want the profile report to print on behalf of the record that you're on. Everybody who uses the staff site knows what on behalf of means. So in this particular case, you're going to be able to use any of the URL variables that come with RiSE that you're currently using when you create either SSRS reports or whatever. So you can, for example, put a membership profile URL or organization name. These are all variables that come through the URL parameter. And once you're able to do that, then when you run that report, it would not prompt this dialog. It would actually look at the logged in user and print the report for the logged in user from that particular session. Okay, so let me just go back one more time, because I know I'm making it as easy as 1, 2, 3, but I want to make sure that everybody's well aware of the power of this. So you have, for example, let's say you wanted to add a variable in your report that would pick up the logged in company name on the top of the report. That would be this variable, which is a standard RiSE variable that you can choose from. You can also, for example, let's say your report is actually printing, selecting a particular member type, for example. You can put an additional IQA in here that would go to the members type table and get the description of the member type and actually feed that into a particular variable. So there are a lot of things that you can do. You can use the same report for the staff site that would print for on behalf of, and then for the member site that will print for the logged in member. All the security is controlled by RiSE. So it's a standard RiSE type security protocol. So it's going to conform to things that you've been already using as far as putting things on the page. So 2 iParts. This is your administration iPart. This is your viewer iPart, and that's as easy as it is to put these reports on your system. So let me keep going. So there's our profile report. That's how we can save it, print it, whatever capabilities we want to do. From there, like I said, you upload your Crystal reports to RiSE. You insert Crystal Report Viewer on any page in RiSE and any website in RiSE. And then once the link is in there, you can run it and pass variables, and that's as easy as it is. The ISG Crystal reports costs only $275 a month. We expect to have our initial release available in early October 2018. So please come see us at NIOG. We'll be through with our Q&A and have a running demo and be able to answer lots of questions for you at our booth in Crystal City at NIOG. It's time for questions, Megan.
Wonderful, thanks, Phil. And I just wanted to add, on the last slide that you had up, you had that the Crystal Report Viewer is $275 per month, and that includes installation and training. There is no separate cost for that, so I just wanted to add that. And I thought I would go down to the question and answer pane and see if we have any questions. I did notice that we do not have any hands up, but if you change your mind and you want to put your hand up and ask any questions aloud, please do so. Actually, it does look like, Michelle, you have your question, you have your hand up. Let me see if I can unmute you, Michelle. Let's see. Michelle, it's not even showing that you're on the phone. It's showing that you're on the webinar, but it's not showing that you're actually on the call. So I can't unmute you, but if you wanted to put a question in the question and answer pane, you're more than welcome to if you can hear me. And Deirdre, let's see. Yes, you are unmuted if you would like to ask your question.
Hi, Megan. Just
hey,
a
how
question.
are you?
Hey, haven't seen you in a while. The different Crystal reports, like the aging report, like the accounting reports, the meeting rosters, invoices, those Crystal reports that are tied directly into the module that print based on the entries you add in the module, will those be able to print on the staff site as well?
Yes, all standard Crystal reports that come with IMIS, you can put in this same module. Absolutely.
But so how would the selections work? Would they automatically pop up? So, for example, with an aging report, you might want to see, anything over 120 days. There's an option that allows you, a prompt that allows you to do that. That's part of desktop. Will that automatically pop up in the Crystal Reports Viewer?
It will. So once you click the link to run the report, the next dialog box will be your date, range, or whatever's in your Crystal reports that prompts. It'll do that automatically.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you.
You bet.
Absolutely. Was that your last question?
That was it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your questions, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Michelle, it looked like I had you on the phone a second ago, but then you disappeared. But I see your question in the question and answer pane, so I'll read that for you. And it says, I was wondering how the connection is maintained to the SQL Server. Does it retain the ODBC connection, and would you need to open up some access to allow Crystal to access through RiSE?
So you do need an ODBC connection from your RiSE server to your SQL server. So that would need to happen in a secure manner, so you're restricting it just to your RiSE server. You bet.
And Michelle, I think I was able to unmute you, so if you have any other comments, you can certainly speak up.
And I don't know if I reconnected to the call thinking maybe I'd try that, so I don't know if he answered my question about the ODBC connection, because usually the ODBC connection is within Crystal, and I know when you upload SSRS, you still have to link it in RiSE. So I'm wondering, this maintains that whole thing, and then would you have to open up some kind of access to SQL to allow a Crystal to access it from outside, I guess, from RiSE?
So the connection would be saved with your Crystal report, and the ODBC name has to match what's in your Crystal report. So there's no additional things that have to be opened directly to SQL other than that one Crystal.
So it would have those passwords saved that you're using to access it.
Absolutely.
Okay. It just seems too easy to me. That's why I'm like, there's got to be more to it.
That's what I was thinking when we did the webinar. I thought, wow, I've got to talk very slow. But it truly is that easy. We, our QA team is our consulting team. Our developers made it, turned it over to our consulting team. And literally, if you don't have any fancy variables that you want to include, you just have prompts in your Crystal reports. It takes minutes to upload the Crystal report and then find out where you want to put it on a RiSE page. It's that simple.
Sounds great.
Great. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks.
Okay, we have some more questions. In Crystal Reports, we have the ability to use custom DLL functions. Does the web-based Crystal Reports Viewer allow for these custom-based functions? One for intelligent barcode encoding.
So without question, I can tell you we support stored procedures, but we'll check on the DLL. I'm pretty sure it does, but I'll check on the DLL functions, and we'll get that answer out to everybody on the webinar.
Perfect. And then we have another one. Can you export a Crystal report to a CSV file?
Yes, we support CSV, PDF, Word, Excel. I mean, we've got all of those standard export capabilities.
Perfect. And then it looks like Deirdre has another question, so I am going to unmute her. There you go, Deirdre. Ask your question.
Yeah, I think you answered it because I forgot about the whole thing that we're hosted. So I wanted to make sure that if there was nothing additional we needed to do on our end in making sure that connection, that ODBC connection and all that is still met. But as long as if it's working for us in desktop and it's not on our server, it's hosted someplace else, as long as our connection or as long as our staff site is connected properly to the server where it's housed, it should be okay?
Yes, the only exception I would say is we haven't worked with ASI and their cloud solution yet, but regular hosting, whether it's with us or ASI or any place else, as long as we can make that ODBC connection, we just use the installer to install the iParts and it all runs through RiSE, absolutely.
Okay, but I don't think we are a cloud client. We are
hosted with ASI.
We're just hosted with ASI. We're considered self-hosted.
Yep.
But it's hosted with ASI.
That should work absolutely fine.
Okay then, great, thank you.
Sure thing. Okay, and we have just a couple of more questions. Is there a limit to the number of reports you can upload?
No limit at all. It actually stores all the reports when you upload them into the database. So you can store as much as you want, as many reports as you want to. If you need to modify that report, we have a download capability, so you can download it out of RiSE, work with Crystal to modify it, and then re-upload it.
Perfect. And if you have a bunch of reports, how do you categorize them?
So I showed you where it said membership events. That's a lookup table. You can have as many categories as you want. And then what you would do is, let's say you wanted to see a list of all the membership reports. You would do a simple IQA that would bring up all the membership reports, and then you would do a hyperlink from the membership report that they want to run to that particular report definition, and it would run it right there in RiSE.
Wonderful. So I think that is all. When I'm looking at the question and answer pane, that's all the questions that we have there. We've answered, of course, some live questions, which I think were fantastic, and I appreciate everyone that asked questions in both places. As Phil said, myself, my colleague Sarah, Phil, and a few of our other folks here at ISG will be attending the NIAG Discovery Conference in Crystal City in just a couple weeks. So we would love for you to come by our booth if you're going to be there. We will be able to talk more about this. It will be available to demo live. We're doing, as Phil said, testing with it now. So we can certainly answer many more questions about it then. So we would love to talk to you more. If you think of any questions after today's session, my contact information is right there on the screen. You are more than welcome to contact me at any time. And we'll certainly follow up with you in the future. But if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. We really appreciate the time that you spent with us. We were hoping that this webinar would be about 30 minutes. The idea is that this system is easy to use. And so I think with easy comes quick. So if there are no additional questions, I think we're done for the afternoon, and we appreciate your time and thanks for joining us. Take care.